Sir, someone is trying to join.
Okay, now I have accepted everyone to join the class, so everyone should be in the class. So the class looks much fuller now. So welcome to week 3. This week, we are going to talk about marketing research and analysis.
Hello,
So,
sir, this is Tasnia speaking.
Yeah, go ahead, Tasnia.
Okay, sir, actually I joined 10 minutes late, so I think I have missed something. You have talked about the quiz and all. So may I know about the discussion you
Yeah,
had?
we will be sharing that towards the end, Tasnia. You have to stay in the class towards the end, so I'll be repeating those towards the end. And I'll be taking the attendance probably in the middle or towards the end.
Okay, sir, thank you so much.
All right, so everyone, as I mentioned before, that we are following a sequence, and according to the course outline, we will be following the same sequence. In our sequence today, we are talking about marketing research and analysis, a very important topic when it comes to marketing, because the term marketing management encompasses overall perspective. It's an umbrella term. There's nothing, it's actually in a lot of ways, the term itself is a vague term, because marketing management encompasses many different things, many different aspects. And some of the topics that we have discussed so far are only forms part of the overall marketing management family. So last week we talked about strategic marketing. We talked about marketing planning. So today's topic is going to be entirely on marketing research. Now, in every course, there will be some key takeaways for you, because every course has got some, it's a bit mouthful that yes, you're going through this whole course, 12 weeks, lots of theories and many things. But in every course, there will be at least few key takeaways. And I want you to just concentrate on key takeaways, that after finishing the course, if there's only one or two things, I ask you that what are those key takeaways, you should be able to tell that, well, this was one of the key takeaway from this course. So from the marketing management course, if you have only 2-3 takeaways, today's discussion will be one of the most important key takeaways from this class, marketing research process. We will be talking about marketing research process. So this is one of the most important aspects when it comes to the discussion of the marketing field, because in the field of marketing, the way marketing field is growing rapidly is purely based on marketing research. So that's why we're going to talk about marketing research. So we're going to talk about a process. So that's why this class is really important. We'll be going through the process of how to conduct the marketing research. So I'm just going to pull up my slides now, and I'll be sharing the slides with you as well. Bear with me, please. Okay, so marketing research, that is the topic of our today's discussion. So after studying this class, or after going through this or this chapter, you'll understand a few things. First of all, understand the purpose and functions of marketing research. All right, so you'll be familiarize yourself with the purpose and functions of marketing research. You'll be familiar with the stages of marketing research process. In marketing research, there are different stages. Then we'll be talking about this different types of research design, data collection methods, and sources of secondary and primary marketing research data. So welcome to the world of data. We'll be talking about marketing research and data. And then we'll talk about some of the major issues involved in survey design and sampling. And towards the end, we'll also introduce another topic called marketing decision support system, which is also known as MDDS. So this is one of the marketing jargons, but this is also another very important concept that we will be covering in our today's discussion. So as I mentioned that this is one of the key takeaway from this course, and you will find this topic really useful because when you will go to the real world is all about marketing research, how through research, all the brands, they are accumulating all of the knowledge from the market. It's purely based on marketing research. So before we proceed further, I would like to probably just ask you that, have you ever been exposed into any of the situation where after purchasing something or buying anything, you were asked a question or your feedback? Tell me your experience.
Yes, sir.
স্যার দেখা যাচ্ছে যখন আমরা পারচেজ করি কিংবা হচ্ছে মানে যে কোনো অনলাইন ই কমার্স শপে পারচেজ করি, তখন দেখা যায় যে ওরা হচ্ছে প্রোডাক্টের রিভিউ চায়, যে মানে আপনি যে প্রোডাক্টটা কিনেছেন প্রোডাক্টটা ঠিক ছিল। যেমন ফুড প্যান্ডাতে আমি খাওয়া অর্ডার দিলে ওরা কিছুক্ষণ পর আমাকে একটা SMS পাঠায় যে আপনার প্রোডাক্ট খাওয়াটা কেমন ছিল, রিভিউটা শেয়ার করতে। তো স্যার দ্যাটস কাইন্ড অফ
Okay, that's good. Now, by the way, in Zoom, there is a function to raise your hand. So maybe it's a good idea so that we don't all speak together. Maybe you can just raise your hand and then we can, I will identify who's the next one who can share. So who would like to raise hand and share some other experience? So that was a good reflection, Samina, thanks. Anyone else would like to share anything?
এই জিনিসটা আমরা হচ্ছে আবার রেস্টুরেন্টও দেখি, যখন আমরা খাবার পরে ওরা আমাদেরকে সার্ভে করার জন্য বলে হাউ ইজ দ্য ফুড অ্যাকচুয়ালি, প্লিজ সার্ভে বেসড অন ইওর স্যাটিসফ্যাকশনস। এই জিনিসগুলো স্যার হয়ে থাকে এখানে, নট অনলি প্রোডাক্টের ক্ষেত্রে, খাওয়ার জিনিসগুলো অনেক সময় হচ্ছে মেকআপ আইটেমস কেনার পরেও হচ্ছে তারা জিজ্ঞাসা করে যে হাউ ইউ আর এক্সপেরিয়েন্সিং অ্যাকচুয়ালি।
Yes, exactly.
আর স্যার উবারের রাইডের পরে একটা SMS বা একটা অপশন দেখা যায় অ্যাপে যে হাউ ওয়াজ ইউর ড্রাইভিং এক্সপেরিয়েন্স, আর ড্রাইভারকে কত স্টার দিবা। হ্যাঁ, তখন অনেকগুলো অপশন থাকে।
Exactly. Very well said. Thanks, Rabul.
Sir, same goes for Redex, Shopper যে ডেলিভারি সার্ভিস, ওদের হচ্ছে যে পার্সেল ডেলিভারি পরে অনেক সময় মোস্ট অফ দ্য টাইম দেয়ার ইজ ইমেল সেইং যে আপনার সার্ভিস কেমন লেগেছে, ইউ ক্যান ইনফর্ম আস, সামথিং লাইক দ্যাট।
Okay, all right. Itila, go ahead.
Sir, I was going to talk about the Uber, but someone else.
A bit louder, Itila.
I was going to say about the Uber, but some bhaiya already said about it.
Okay, all right. So all of you are right. And as you have seen that, and you have experienced that the world, the business world or the marketing world is entirely based on consumer feedback, right? Because like, take the example of Uber, how important it is, because when we rate the drivers, that in itself creates like, you know, a profile for that driver. It's so important for the driver because it has become part of their selection of the best driver, like, you know, the best drivers, whoever, you know, gets the most ratings or reviews and everything. So we see that all the big giant companies, they have ingrained consumer feedback part of that process. Why it's so important? Now, there's two things happening. First of all, they're actually empowering the consumers, right? Because we get empowered when, after receiving the service, we provide a feedback. That means they value our feedback. So this is probably the most important reason that marketing research is so important, because consumers, they're feeling empowered. And the second thing is, obviously based on our feedback, they can easily filter the level of their service, right? I mean, they can easily assess that what are the areas that we need to improve our service. So it's in itself, the way they have built this mechanism in itself, it's a way to, like, improve your quality. They don't need to assign separate quality check or anything. The consumer itself is providing them that. So not only that, consumers are also giving them new ideas, any problems or any improvement areas, innovative, thoughts and everything. So that's why marketing research has become one of the most important aspect in every organization. They are heavily, especially the very large and successful organization, they are very heavily, they are spending money on their research and innovation. Because they know that only research and innovation can give them advanced level of knowledge into what is happening into the marketplace, right? So we first will start our understanding by knowing what is marketing research. So what is marketing research? There are lots of ways that we can look into marketing research, but these are some in bullet points. As you can see, these are only some points through which we can understand. So marketing research identifies and defines marketing opportunities. So marketing research could be done at various stages. You can do your marketing research at the beginning to launch a new product. So whenever a new brand, they're going to launch a new product, the best way is to conduct a marketing research so that you can assess marketing opportunities. What is the possible opportunity in the market? Whether are you able to sell your product into this market or not? Then marketing research can generate, refine, and evaluates marketing actions. So you can generate, we can refine, you can evaluate marketing actions as well. Imagine when new brands, they launch new, their new types of product into the market. They first go ahead and they try to assess that whether it is going to work well or not. Has anyone experienced, the green Coke? Has anyone seen that green Coke? Do you remember that? Like when Coke launched their a green organic version of Coke? Has anyone seen that in Bangladesh?
No, sir, we didn't see that.
No, sir.
Okay, all right.
Never.
They actually termed this one as, this is the benefit of using technology. I can share lots of things. So they named this one Coke Life. So the idea here was to introduce a new type of Coke, which is very green, organic, and people will love it. It's so close to life, Coke Life. All right. So this is how they named this one. Now,
So
guess what happened?
The basic difference between the regular Coke and the green Coke?
Nothing much. It was only a marketing stunt, probably. Yes, they had some modification into the taste, but not to the extent that it will be entirely different. So when they launched this one, in the first few months, they found that it wasn't selling so well. And for sure, they had to conduct marketing research. And they found largely that it was nothing but a blunder, because no one expects Coke to sell organic drink, because Coke is always renowned in the market as the best cola drink. People love Coke for the flavor of the fizz that we feel after we drink the Coke. We want to feel that, and we want Coke as a Coke, the original Coke. So no one actually liked the concept of that green Coke. So obviously after few iterations and few tries, they pulled out the product from the market. So these are only possible when you... Yeah.
স্যার আমি যতটুকু মনে পড়ে এই কেস স্টাডি ব্যাপারে, কোক যখন এই নতুন এই তাদের এই অর্গানিক কোকটা লঞ্চ করেছিল, তারপর
Mhm.
যখন দেখছো মার্কেট এটা রেসপন্স করতেছে না, তখন তারা ক্লাসিক কোক ভাবে মানে প্রিভিয়াস যে তাদের কোকটা ছিল ওটা আবার রিলঞ্চ করেছিল
Mhm.
আনাদার
Yeah.
ব্র্যান্ড নেম অফ ক্লাসিক কোক।
Yes, I mean, they eventually they had to track back to, like, to the original version of their Coke. Even you see the no sugar Coke, like the Diet Coke and all of those, these aren't that popular. Yes, some people they like it, but that's like a very small segment of the market. The vast majority of the people, they still love the Coke in itself, like the original Coke. So the bottom line is, these are the things that brands can only do by means of having a strong marketing research system. If they don't have that strong marketing research system, it's not going to be possible. So you can evaluate your marketing action. Whenever you launch a new product, whenever you launch a new campaign, you can easily see, okay, all right, why it's not working? What's the problem? Okay. You can monitor your marketing performance time to time. You can monitor what's happening in the market. Where's the problem? What's the trend? Where's the, like, the curve? The curve is going upward or downward. It improves understanding of a marketing as a process, specifies information required to address these issues, designs the methods on collecting information. So we'll be getting more into those, like, how to collect the data and information. So obviously, marketing research encompasses many different things. It's a very broad terminology, but in a nutshell, if we would like to define marketing research, we can say that marketing research is a systematic process of identifying, collecting, and analyzing marketing data to ultimately make effective marketing decision. That's what marketing research is. So, question is, what are the areas that marketing research can help? So first and foremost, marketing research is obviously helpful for planning, because when you want to plan, you definitely need to proceed with your market research. Now, there are lots of great examples that brands, they jumped into the market without having much planning, without doing much research. And we have talked about some of these examples before.
Sir, can I say something?
Yeah, go ahead.
Sir, in Pepsi, when they are just launching the blue Pepsi, they just fall out from the planning stage.
So, sorry, that was a question, right? What was the question?
Sir, the market planning has been dropping out when they just Pepsi launched the blue Pepsi, because the plan is not been working out.
Yes,
is like that.
Yes. Why it's not? Look, I mean, it starts even before that. Even before you want to launch a blue Pepsi, then you have to do start with why a blue Pepsi, like something like that. So we're starting like marketing research, like why and what are the questions that marketing research can help. Yes, Nuhash, go ahead.
Sir, I just wanted to give another example. In Japan, Coke diet failed because they did not research that Japanese people don't like dieting or the word diet. So the Coke diet failed, and they renamed that Coke into Coke Zero. They had to rename it entirely.
Yes.
So initially their Coke diet failed, and they researched it, that why people are hating it, and they found out that Japanese people hate dieting or the word diet, and changed the entire name.
Yes, very good. Thanks, Nuhash. Okay, Samina, go ahead.
Sir, is planning anyhow related to market segmentation?
Well, not at least at the beginning. So planning is an exploratory exercise. Marketing research is generally conducted at the very beginning when you are only going to explore that whether there is any possibility of this product to be sold in this market or not. So at the beginning, let's say in Bangladesh, Bangladesh is a very growing market. It's a vast economy. It's a growing economy, right? So some of the brands, they are still not in the Bangladesh market. Maybe only now we can see some of the very luxury brands. They are starting to appear in Bangladeshi market, you know, in the sports section or in the fast food section. My daughter, she loves McDonald's, right? McDonald's is one of the most popular, like, you know, brands, fast food brand. Now, McDonald's is still not in Bangladesh. So when they would like to launch in the market at the beginning, very beginning, first, they have to actually start by analyzing the market, all right? And that is why marketing research is really important, that even before you launch in the market, you first have to conduct a very thorough research of the market. One of the big problems that large brands that they face in Bangladesh, there's very less regulation when it comes to copyright, when it comes to trademarking, and, like, you know, following the brand, you know, your brand identity. I think I was talking about the other day, we were talking about KKFC, like, you know, KFC is a brand in Bangladesh. There's, you know, you will find KKFC and they will have almost the same logo. They will just change the color. They'll do something, a little modification, and they can easily customize product and everything. So this is a problem. And we talked about McDonald's when they launched in the Indian market, and initially they found that their burgers weren't selling that well. And they forgot to do the research, because they could not sell beef burger in the Indian market. People in India, they wouldn't eat beef burger, because obviously cow is a holy animal. It's a sacred animal in Hindu religion. So things like this, you miss out these things once you get into the market without having much marketing research. So planning is the very first stage, which it's based on the foundation of marketing research. So all the big and successful brands, they must need to do a marketing research, and that will help them to plan. Yes, Tanmay, go ahead.
স্যার একটু সরি ইন্টারাপশনের জন্য স্যার ম্যাকডোনাল্ডস বাংলাদেশে না আসার মেইন কারণ হলো বিকজ অফ দেয়ার বিজনেস মডেল দে আর নট ফাস্ট ফুড চেন দে আর মোস্ট লাইক দে আর ডিলিং উইথ দ্য রিয়েল এস্টেট সো তাদের এই বিজনেস মডেলের কারণে তাদের কিছু রিকোয়ারমেন্ট থাকে ফ্র্যাঞ্চাইজি যাদের দিবে সো ওখানে মেইন পোর্শনে থাকে রিয়েল এস্টেটের বিষয়টা, কতটুকু স্পেসিং লাগবে, কতটুকু ইয়ে লাগবে। সো এই কারণে বাংলাদেশে ওরকম কেউ আনতে পারে না ফ্র্যাঞ্চাইজিটা। এন্ড প্লাস আফটার সার্ভিস হিসেবে মানে ম্যাকডোনাল্ডসে কিছু রেকমেন্ডেড কিছু ভেন্ডর আছে, মানে এর বাইরে তার কাছ থেকে সার্ভিস নিতে পারবে না। সো ইটস ভেরি নট ফিজিবল টু ডু বিজনেস উইথ ম্যাকডোনাল্ডস ইন বাংলাদেশ।
Yeah, well, yes, of course. I mean, mostly all the top fast food brands, they have almost similar requirements. McDonald's obviously not an exception. So definitely you're right. It's obviously the real estate, that's an issue. Quality control is also another issue, like, you know, the extent of the way they ensure the quality, the level of their service. In McDonald's, they have a thing that they will serve every customer within 90 seconds. That's their promise. So quality is guaranteed within that 90 seconds. And that is something that they follow in every market. And so these are some of they're very specific about these. So obviously these are their concerns, but hopefully they will be able to get into the Bangladeshi market. So the bottom line is, before big brands come to any market, they launch into any market, they need a thorough planning, and marketing research can actually help to answer those questions.
Sir,
Then,
I want to add something in here. Like, I have done marketing research in a course in my undergrad. So that research involves that how bracu students prefer soft drinks. So it was a very simple research,
Mhm.
but while doing that research, we found out that most of the energy drinks that exists in Bangladeshi market, they cannot survive more than 9 months or 1 year. The main reason is that they do not follow the health guidelines, and for that reason they fall out, and that's a very bad planning for them.
Yes.
This is a
Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
স্যার
So,
একটা জিনিস
mhm. Go ahead.
স্যার একটা কনসার্ন আমার রেসপন্স সেটা হলো যে when you do the marketing research
Yeah.
মানে আমরা যাদের কাছে প্রাইমারি ডেটা কালেক্ট করি ইজ আ মানে লার্জ অ্যামাউন্ট অফ টেন্ডেন্সি টু ম্যানিপুলেট দ্য ডেটা মানে আইদার তারা অথেন্টিক ইয়াটা দিচ্ছে না ডেটাটা দিচ্ছে না আইদার কোনো থার্ড পার্টি বা কোনোভাবে ডেটা ম্যানিপুলেট হচ্ছে তার তো সেক্ষেত্রে প্রাইমারি রিসার্চে আমাদের মানে কতটুকু এটা ফ্রুটফুল হয়
Okay. So, look, I mean, it depends on how exactly are we conducting the primary research, because we haven't gone to that yet, because primary and secondary, these are two different types of research. So primary research is when, which I was just about to cover when we'll go into the process, but in general, primary research, when you get the data directly from the consumer, that is what primary research is. So if you have a comprehensive data collection system through which you are able to conduct primary data, that is totally possible. Like Uber, what Uber is doing, this is primary data, because as soon as you finish your ride, you as consumer, you are able to simply tap your screen. If they have this 5-star, and you can simply press that and you provide your feedback. That's a primary data. Whereas secondary data is data that has been already collected and you're buying or you are using that data for your marketing decision. That's a secondary. So it depends that how comprehensive your data collection system is. If you're able to do it as conveniently or as robustly as these big brands are doing, then primary data is great. All right. May I just proceed with the second point, which is problem solving. So first, we know that marketing research will help to answer your question at the planning stage. Second is marketing research will help to solve your problem into these 4 different P's, which is your marketing mix. We've come across this concept: product, price, place, and promotion. These are known as marketing mix. So marketing mix is obviously your foundation when it comes to marketing. So your primary or secondary, whatever type of research that you undertake, that will actually give you information about your product, your price, your place, and your promotion. Because once a product, you introduce the product in the market, it's not going to be a super hit immediately. There could be so many problems. In your pricing, there could be problems. In your channels of distribution, there could be problems. The way you're promoting the product, it could be a problem. But you need to thoroughly assess those time and again, every now and then, to double check what is happening. Don't think that your product is selling well now, it's going to sell very well in the coming days or months. It might just go down. So you need to have a constant monitoring system through which you're able to solve any of the future problems that coming in your way. Product, price, place, and promotion. Let's think about some examples. So when it comes to product, maybe you have some product that you're selling now. It's doing very well, but new products or new competition will come into the market and then can easily compete your product, right? For instance, let's say in the ride-sharing market in Bangladesh, Bata was dominating, right? Bata, when they launched, they were simply dominating the ride-sharing market. They had an amazing market share. Initially, they introduced the concept of ride sharing in Bangladesh with the motorbikes. First time ever, people started to know, okay, all right, this is possible. As soon as they just started, then there's new, businesses that they joined the party, like, Uber, they already joined, Shohoj, and there's like lots of new, these days we see Obhai, Obon, and there's lots of new, ride sharing services started to appear. So then Pathao obviously had to think about something alternative. Like, first of all, they started with ride sharing, but then they had to eventually differentiate their product. Like, they started ride sharing with their, mail delivery, like, post, and like, food delivery, and so many other things along with that. So it's not an ideal, it's not an utopia, or not a clean green field. It's always full of so many challenges and so many, competition always. So you need to be very vigilant, like, very, very alert always, like what's happening, what is the problem with our product, and we have to solve the problem. So Pathao did similar thing when they saw that, well, there's so many different ride sharing businesses coming into the market. We need to get into the market. When Shohoj, they saw, okay, all right, we are also in the ride sharing, but now we should probably start something else. So they started playing with ticketing and everything. So constantly you need to do this. And this is only possible when you have very strong marketing research and analysis, because you need to literally research about your competitors. You need to understand from your customers, like, what are they getting from the other product, which you can offer them better. Pricing as well. Price is probably something not, you cannot just remain with the same price. Price is probably the most, I would say, changeable element in your marketing process, because you cannot always have the same price. You always have to play with your price. In fact, every day, every month. Imagine how important it is for all of these big brands to play with their price. Every day they have to come up with new offer. Food Panda, every day in your app you get like আজকে 2%, আজকে 3%, আজকে 1% ছাড়, কালকে 5%, you get 10% ছাড় tomorrow. Valentine's Day you get ওই বিভিন্ন ধরনের, right? So there's some people who are sitting behind the desk, right, and doing all of this research so that they can get into consumers' heart and mind, so that they can make you buy the product. So it's really important to have your marketing research. Without marketing research, you can't do that. Similarly, with your channels of distribution, whether online channel is working, whether your stores are working, all of these things you need to constantly keep in your radar, so that you can always follow up. Promotion, that involves all of your marketing efforts, like, your social media campaign, your digital marketing, and all of these. So problem solving is the second type of, or the second layer of, like, activity which your marketing research will help. And the third level is control. Control is done once you have implemented something, then which of these aspects that you can literally control, and you can control, and you can fix those so that there's no further problem. So these are some aspects where marketing research can really help. Okay, now moving on.
Will you please repeat the control point?
Say again, Aruna, loudly.
Will you please explain more about the control part?
Okay, all right, sure. So control, what is control? May I ask if someone can define what is control?
To have the power to make change on a particular thing.
If there is any problem.
No, sir. Control is the measuring the production or the output with the standard. Is making sure of that is control.
Okay, well said. So control is the activity that involves that to what extent your expected outcome is according to your input, whatever your input is, whether the output is according to that. This activity is known as control. So control is a mechanism through which you're able to assess that what is working now and what's not working, right? So what was, if I had like point X amount of input, why am I getting point Y amount of output? What's the reason? What are the problems? So the activity of control is always balancing your input and output, the ratio of your input and output. So imagine for your marketing activities, all of your activities, you spend like, 50,000 taka, right? And you expected that, well, this is what the return is going to be. But eventually you found the return is actually low. So that's where your research will tell you. So this is part of your control, where you will try to assess that where is the problem, identify the problem of your output, that why my output is low. And that activity will be ensured by control.
Got it, sir. Thank you.
Okay, marketing research in the new millennium. So one of the things we need to keep in mind that the world that we live in is an ever-changing and dynamic world today, which is called environmental phenomena, will affect the marketing research industry in the next decade and beyond. So the environment these days is fiercely competitive, right? It's very dynamic. It's very, very volatile and change. Imagine, let's talk about how different the marketing world has been. Who would have ever knew that the world will become in a standstill situation, right? In the last 2 years, we have seen an unprecedented event, which we never had experienced before. We were in a lockdown situation. The whole world became into a lockdown situation, and we couldn't even get out of our house. So many things we weren't able to do, and so many new things came up. We make ourselves familiar with so many new things. Wearing mask became a new trend, right? And there's a new product that came into our fashion, which is wearing a mask. Who would have ever knew that wearing a mask, that will become a new product? And nowadays, a mask is like a regular product. There are different brands, they're coming up with their mask, different style, different patterns, that's became a new product. So what I'm saying is that the environmental phenomena will affect the marketing research in the next decade and beyond. So when you are a marketing research person, you always need to very carefully analyze, scan the environment. What is happening? Then the traditional timeline of 4 to 6 weeks for the typical research project will not be acceptable. All right, gone are the days typically marketing research process would have taken 4 to 6 weeks, but these days we see the world is changing in one single day. One single event will change the whole environment, whole business world. And that will have a large impact into the businesses, into economy and everything. Who would have knew, small things. How many of you have seen, there was an example of Cristiano Ronaldo in one of his press conferences.
Coca-Cola.
He had a bottle of Coke and a bottle of water. So
Yes,
all
sir.
he did
Yes,
simply, he said, let's choose the less, or the healthier drink. And he put the Coke aside. That simple incident alone dropped the share price of the whole Coke, right? I mean, we knew
Yes,
that,
sir.
that just
For
came like a...
for this slightest move, the Coke share will be falling
Yes,
down.
yes.
that's right. So you think that Coke executives, I mean, they could have done marketing research that would have taken 4 to 6 weeks to decide, like, well, what will pull up our marketing reputation or brand reputation, and only one simple incident can just just damage everything. So the world is very changing rapidly. So there's no time. 4 to 6 weeks, if you take something to create, or understand something, there's no time for that. Marketing research is becoming part of the marketing strategy development process. So this is something that is really happening now, that marketing research is essential more for marketing strategy, because previously marketing research was considered just an exercise through which you will have some information and you will keep all of those data probably in a warehouse, which you will review time to time after some time every year, and you will see, okay, we have done some consumer research and these were some of the findings. We have kept them in folders and we'll see them later. No, it's not like that. Marketing research is straight going to develop your marketing strategy. Through your marketing research, you can straight develop your marketing strategy. Okay. Interactivity, e-commerce, and the internet are affecting the practice of marketing research. So we know that the world has become touch sensitive, right? With the touch of a button, with the push of a button, consumers can do magic these days. You can get consumers, like, like Facebook. Imagine the marketing of Facebook, right? Like, what is Facebook doing? Imagine how powerful the Facebook marketing that has become the biggest business engine in the world. Facebook is probably one of the most popular platform that maybe more than half of world's population has access, right? In Facebook, if we, in the world, the whole world is like 6-7 billion people, probably we can say 3 billion people at least would have a Facebook account, roughly. I'm not sure whether I'm speaking the right data, but at least half of world's population would have an account in Facebook. So, and there's no other platform in the world has as much as access to consumer data, right? And what Facebook is doing, they're simply buying your time. Like, they want you to scroll through their screen. The longer it is, the better for them. Advertisement will come from all over the place. You scroll up and down, you'll see ads. You touch anything, you'll see ad. You like anything, you'll start to see similar ads. So they want your eyeballs. They just don't anything. They want your eyeball. It's called eyeball marketing. They just want your eyeballs, right? Facebook only wants your eyeball into their screen. That's it. So it's become so interactive. Imagine if you by mistakenly touch anything or press any button, you like that, and that's it. You will start to see everything similar to that every now and then. Okay.
Even though in YouTube this also same.
Yes, sir.
It's same, right?
But I think the YouTube one is a bit dumber, because Facebook knows what apps I have. Facebook doesn't give me Food Panda apps ads, but YouTube does, even though I have YouTube Food Panda already. So
I like to interrupt. I like to interrupt here. It's all about how the marketer targets you. Like if the marketer wants to target the person who wants to visit the only the food page, I can target that person specifically. If I want to target the person who loves to travel, I can target them specifically. It's same with the YouTube. When I also want, I can target everyone. I want to show it to everyone. I also can do it. So it depends on the marketer, how they are targeting the specific audience.
No, it's not only depends, it doesn't only depends on the marketer, it entirely depends on the consumer actually. Like consumer, they actually choose, like, you know, it's what you're saying, it's still a reactive process that it's not decided by marketers anymore. It's all decided by consumers. Consumers can simply proactively, if you want to, if you press anything, the predictive analytics system that is embedded into YouTube and Facebook, that will predict what exactly is needed by you. And then it will start to share, it will start to prescribe. So these two things, so it's not, marketing is not dependent on the marketers anymore. That was a previous concept, that marketers would target specific consumer group and then they'll do it. These days, consumers, they self-select themselves. They target, like, you know, as soon as you press anything, you make your own choice and brands will start to share everything to you. So yes, there's difference between YouTube and Facebook, but eventually it boils down to the fact that how robust their system is. Like these platforms, they are well connected. Like these days, when you know, install an app, you have to log in. They will ask you to log in through your Facebook account, probably, or probably your Gmail. So that's how they capture your data. And this data is mutually shared by this app and the Facebook. So Facebook would also know like how many apps you are using their login as well. And this app would also know that how many apps. So this everything, it's creating your digital footprint. You're no longer, your privacy is no longer there. You're all exposed, you're all naked. When it comes to the web, we're all naked. We don't have any privacy anymore. As soon as you press any like button, as soon as you go into the web, everything, your whole life is in front of everyone. So anyway, we're talking about marketing research in the new millennium. So this interactivity from the consumer in itself, it's a sign. And this is taking over the business world, the marketing research. E-commerce, I mean, there's no more, like, commercial activities doesn't take place anymore offline. This is, everything is online these days. All the commercial activities are online. I mean, we don't even need to see advertisements in the TV. We don't need to see advertisement in the magazine, in the newspaper. We don't need to see that. How many people read newspaper these days? Tell me. How many people would watch TV programs these days? Very less. How many people would bother to see the billboards or anything? Well, only when you are probably on the traffic, you're looking at billboards and stuff. But everything is in the palm of your hand, right? Like, your phone. As soon as you have your phone, the internet, everything is there. So this is another trend for marketing research. How will data be managed? That's another thing. Data management. Now, let's talk about data management again. A few years ago, there was a scandal that Facebook got involved into. Who can tell me what was the name of that scandal?
Selling data to third party.
Yeah, what was the name of that scandal? I want to know the scandal.
Cambridge Analytica.
Yes, very good. It's called Cambridge Analytica. Okay, all right. So allegedly, it was alleged that Facebook actually sold all of their consumer data to a consultancy firm named Cambridge Analytica. All right. So, and Cambridge Analytica was actually selling this data to politicians when there was election in US. So it was alleged, and you may have seen that Mark Zuckerberg, who is like, the proud CEO, youngest CEO, billionaire, That guy was sitting in the courtroom. He was like, afraid. He was sitting in the courtroom, and there was a royal commission. There was like, all the, people and surrounded him, questioning him, and he was answering everything. So yes, they failed to manage consumer data. The problem was they have this vast amount of resources, as we mentioned, that they have probably 500 million, like, half of Earth's population data. Like, I have all of my data in Facebook, right? Like, my name, my family, my everything. You go to my Facebook and you can see the whole life. I mean, what do I eat, where do I go, what, because people these days, they like to share everything. So we are all exposed. Now, when brands or organizations, they have people's data into their platform, it's a very, very important duty of them to, I guess, protect the data, manage the data well. But not many brands are doing that successfully. And there will be time where there will be failure. And if there's a problem, if that's the problem, then that will affect many things. So in your organization as well, when you will be collecting data from the consumers, it's really important that you're able to maintain the privacy of the consumer data as well. Because if you're not able to do that, you fail to do that, you'll fall flat in your face, like Facebook had. I mean, they had to obviously pay billions of dollars as damage, the reputation, so many things happened. So there's another problem, that managing data, consumer data, that's really, really important. Consolidation among companies has resulted in market dominance by the top 25 firms. Well, I'm not sure whether this top 25 firms data is recent enough, because I don't think there's any market dominance but 25. We can talk about Fortune 500 companies, but yes, there's massive consolidation among some of the largest brands. They consolidate together, they become giant and giant. This will continue. So look, this was all the discussion to probably set the scene. We know what is marketing research. We have learned, like, what are the trends in the market. So now we'll dive deep into marketing research process. We need to understand the process of marketing research. What is the marketing research process? So as I mentioned at the very beginning, keep in mind that if there's one takeaway, this is the key takeaway. Because when you'll be doing a job in the marketing field, or even in our other organization, you will be able to use this. Okay, so this is coming from this process. There's like different stages in the process. You'll find in different books, there are different stages mentioned, but this is again coming from a Philip Kotler text. So this might be identical, but there might be slightly overlap, because from text to text, there are some differences, but general steps, as we see, that it starts with a problem definition. I'm going to explain each of these one by one, but I'm just first showing you the steps. So you start with problem definition, then you determine the research design. What exactly is going to be your research design? Third, you select the type of data that you need. Here we'll be talking about primary data and secondary data. What that is, I'll explain to you in a minute. Then in the next step, you have to determine the data collection method, how exactly you are going to collect the data, because there are various ways that you can collect the data. We'll be talking about that as well. Then development of data collection forms. Well, not very important as a step, I would say, but still, as I mentioned, in some books, you wouldn't not find this as a step. Like this may not be as a step. But how exactly you're going to collect the data? Then sample design. What is sample? We'll talk about that as well. And the data collection, analysis, and interpretation. So essentially, we can say that in marketing research process, there's like 5 or 6 in some books, like, this is collapsed, like, these two are collapsed into one step. So there's like 5 or 6 different steps. So now let us just go through each of these steps one by one. Are you all tired? Do you all need a break? Is people tired?
Be better, sir.
So that would
Sorry,
be better.
a little break, sir.
A little break?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Okay, all right. Now, before diving, because I want your undivided attention into this one, because this is really important for your quiz, for your assignment, for everything. So that's why I need your concentration. And if you're not concentrated, you wouldn't get it. So let's have a 5 minutes break, all right? So I'll stop sharing. So just maybe stand up, maybe take a walk, stretch, go to the water, have a glass of water. If you want to make a tea or coffee, just go grab your coffee, something like that. Time now is 11:42 in my time. So that would be let's come back at 7:50 your time, okay?
Okay, sir.
Yeah, all right. In the meantime, if anyone has any question, you can ask me. Actually, I'll take a break as well. I need to go get a glass of water. So I'll see you in a while. Don't leave the class, just turn your cameras off and microphone off and come back in 5-6 minutes. Okay, so we'll begin again. Okay, let me just quickly take the attendance because I will just now take the class attendance. So just bear with me, I'm just. Okay, so I'll take the class attendance. I'll just call out your name. Could you just say yes, please? So that I can mark you as present. So Aisha Siddiqa.
Yes, please.
Okay, Aisha is present. Fahmida Ahmed, Monica.
Present, sir.
Thank you. Bushra Ahmed.
Present, sir.
Lamia Niza.
Yes, please.
Okay. Okay. Lamin Demba. Lamin, you're there? Okay. Lamin is still showing present, still online, so I'm hoping Lamin can hear
Sir,
me.
sir, I can hear you. Are you talking to me?
No, Lamia, there's another one called Lamin.
Oh, I'm so sorry. Okay.
Oh, that's
Okay.
all right. I marked you as present, Lamia.
Thank you, sir.
Lamin, do we have Lamin? Lamin, you there? Right, I'll mark him as present for now. Then he'll speak. Taslima Rahman Ria.
Present, sir.
Dewan Fahad Mahmood. No clue. Samina Ahmad.
Present, please.
Okay. Mohammad Nazmus Sadat Yash.
Yes, sir.
Zahid Fayaz Hussain.
Present, sir.
Mononna Haq.
Yes, sir. Present.
Khadija Al Tahira Chaudhry
Present,
Raisa.
teacher. Present, teacher.
Thanks. Ashfaq Mahmood.
Present, sir.
Thank you. Itila Ahmed.
Yes, sir.
Thank you. Suraj Agarwala.
Present, sir.
Mohammad Ahad Shahriar.
Yes, sir. I'm present.
Rabia Yasmin.
Present, sir.
Arshadul Haq.
Yes, sir.
Sheikh Tariqul Islam Omar.
Present, sir. Sir, present.
Okay, thanks. Thanks for it. Okay, next one, Nuhash Rahman.
Yes, sir.
Mohammad Israfil Hussain.
Yes, sir.
You always have that cat photo on, Israfil. Could you show your real face? You're not a cat, are you?
Sir, I'd like to, but my phone has a problem.
But you have to
Sir,
solve that
I am
problem.
trying to buy a new phone. So after buying a new phone, I would.
Yes, please. You
I
have
will,
to solve it. I think it would be better not to have your class always on your phone. While I know phones are great, like, you know, it's useful, but please make sure to not join your class always on phone. All right, so that you are at least on camera. We can see you, because this I will consider at a non-engagement. Always having
sir,
your
there's
cat photo on, checking your class on your phone.
in
Anyway.
our area there always net problem. That's why I use phone so that I can transfer to data.
Okay, fair enough. But yes, at least I would like to see the real Israfil, not the cat version Israfil, right?
Yes, sir. I'll try my best, sir.
Okay, thanks. Farhina Sharmin. Is Farhina Sharmin here? No? Okay, all right. Then we have Saim Chaudhary.
Yes, sir.
Saim Chaudhary is here. Both Saim are present. Fatima Ahmed. Fatima, you present, Fatima? We check the list. Okay, not sure if Fatima is present today. Aisha Islam Tania. Sorry, Ayasha Islam Tania. Okay, Zeban Islam Shorna.
Sir, Jeban Alam Sharma.
Oh, sorry. My apologies, Jeban Alam Shorna. Yes, you're present. Thank you. Mahmuda Sultana.
Present, sir.
Thank you. Ruzneen Farhana.
Yes, sir, I'm here.
Thank you. Istiaq Ahmed.
Present, sir. Sir, may I say something?
Can you wait until I finish?
Okay, okay, sir. Yes,
okay. Abe Fatimatu Zohra.
Yes, sir.
Okay. Aparna Dash.
Yes, sir.
Rabiul Islam Naim.
Yes, sir.
Tanmoy Mishra.
Yes, sir.
Padma Rani Malo. Tasnia Tahir Ria.
Present, sir.
Sakib Al Hassan.
Present, sir.
Anunna Rahman Khan.
Present, sir.
Shumaya Firdaus Islam.
Present, sir.
Thank you. Yashwant Alvi.
Present, sir.
Mahbub Rahman.
Sir, he's disconnected, but he texts me that he could accept it. He just texts me.
Okay. All right. Is there anyone else whose name I did not call today?
Yeah, you didn't call me.
Lamin, I did. You were away. I called your
oh.
name already, so I have marked you as present.
Thank you.
Okay. Anyone else that whose name I did not call today?
Sir, this is Fahmid Ahmed Monica. Could you hear me at first?
Yes, I could.
Okay, sir. Thank you.
Sir, Mohammad Mahbub Rahman Maruf.
Mohammad Mahbub Rahman. Mahbub, yes, we'll have a chat towards the end. I know that you sent me an email saying that you didn't receive my emails because, you know, the email that you gave me probably there was something like, you know, wrong. I couldn't get that was just a bounce back. So I just need to figure that one out. So we'll fix that later. Fahmida Ahmed Monica. Yes, you present, Fahmida. Okay, all right. Attendance is done for today. Is there anyone else who I missed out today? Okay, that's good. All right, done with the attendance. All right, everyone. So just getting back to marketing research process. Now, the reason marketing research process is very important because your final project work in this course will be like, not final, like the group project that you will be working is going to be a marketing research assignment. So that is the reason I also emphasized this one, because the understanding will really help you to do well in that assessment as well. So I'm just going to go back to where I was. So we were here. This is where we finished our discussion. We are talking about marketing research process. So marketing research process has got these steps, right? So we're going to go through these steps one by one now in detail so that we all understand what are these different steps. So beginning with the problem definition. So problem definition is step number one in the marketing research process. What is problem definition? As the name suggests, problem definition is all about understanding where the gap is, right? What is where the problem is? So problem definition starts with symptoms. What is the symptom, right? So when you go to a doctor, what happens? Like before even telling what your problems are, the doctors would first ask you, what are your symptoms? Because without knowing your symptoms, the doctors would not be able to tell you what is the problem and where or what type of medicine do you need. So problem definition is all about scanning these symptoms. So when a brand is facing some problem, the first thing they need to do is to understand the symptoms. Okay, what are the symptoms? Why this is causing the problem? So they need to pull together all of these information. So we just go back to maybe with the real world, some examples when something is some problem is happening. When we say, imagine when bracuniversity is like, during COVID time, all of the universities, their enrollment was actually going downward. But BRAC had a strange problem. BRAC University has a good problem. The problem was the student enrollment was getting higher and higher day by day. Now, this sounds like a very nice problem to have, but sometimes this could even be a bigger problem, because when you have over capacity, that could also be a problem. Like, you have like, a added number of students. That means you need to accommodate all of the students. You have to put them into classes. You have to assign, more teachers. And this is something you have to ensure, because you cannot sacrifice your quality in the exchange of more business. So sometimes overcapacity is a problem, undercapacity is a problem as well, all right? So whatever the problem is, and some businesses, they were at the same time, when in the education sector, many institutions or universities, they had a declining student trend. Like recently, North-South University, they have got a declining trend in the market, in their student numbers. Now, I'm not saying like going into that debate of whether North-South is better than BRAC and BRAC is better than North-South. I'm not getting into that, but I'm just simply trying to come up with some marketing research perspective. Like a problem definition is where you have to look into symptoms. Now, recently you may have heard like North-South University, they came to news for some of their owners getting, allegedly, they were involved into some sort of, I hate to say these words, but some corruption or something like that. There was some allegations brought against them. We're not saying whether that's right or wrong, but some allegations were brought against them. So definitely this has caused some problem. So similarly, in every type of product or brand, Sometimes they will have a declining sales. Sometimes the sales will go up. So whatever the situation is at the very beginning, you need to, at the very first step, you need to understand that what is what are the symptoms, what are the gaps. Just doing some anticipatory analysis, exploratory analysis. So problem is all about the deviation between your actual state and your desired state. What your actual state and what's your desired state. And if there's any deviation in between, that is what will tell you what the problem is. So problem definition is all about exploring the reason, like why there's a specific reason why you're facing some challenges. So whenever you encounter any bad situation in the business, whether that's your share prices are going low, whether it's your brand reputation is at stake, something is happening with your brand reputation, or any other things happening, the immediate first thing that a marketer need to understand or do is to assess the problems. Where are the problems? What are the symptoms? Where it could cause? Same as a doctor would analyze a patient before diagnosing the exact disease and prescribing them the medicine. So it's like that. So next step is called the research design. Because keep in mind, you are going to do a research of your existing market and existing customers. So you need to do a research. And in research, typically, very typically, although it's a very broad way to look at research, there are 3 different types of research that we can conduct. The first one is known as exploratory research. All right, these are quiz questions, by the way, keep in mind, giving hints for you. What is exploratory research? Typically carried out to satisfy researchers' desire for better understanding or to develop preliminary background and suggest issues for a more detailed follow-up study. So you may just rest on 1 or 2 keywords here. Where's my pen? Sorry. Can I touch? Sorry, I'm just trying to make it a bit more interactive. Draw. Yes. So I wanted to just probably highlight, sorry. Draw. Sorry. My effort. Just trying to make my screen more interactive. On my stylus pen, I was just trying to use my stylus pen, but anyway, forget about it. So I wanted to just concentrate on some of these things, like, it's all about your preliminary data. You are going to look into your preliminary data, okay? So exploratory research is typically conducted at the beginning. So at the very beginning, to better understand the situation, what's happening? Okay, so we have declining sales. So probably we will do a exploratory study, because exploratory studies are conducted typically at the very beginning, so that you understand what's happening, what's the problem. So one way to look at this is it's called an exploratory research. So exploratory research is done at the beginning of any process, even taking place. Sometimes you can do the exploratory research even before something has occurred, so that you get a better perspective about this. So in exploratory research, the core aspect is that you are starting with a fresh lens, starting with a fresh perspective. Someone's microphone needs muting, please. Please, all of you mute your microphones. Descriptive research, on the other end, yes, Nuhash, go ahead.
Sir, so in exploratory research, can we say there will be so much primary data, then there will be almost no secondary data because we are doing it in the very beginning of a study?
Yes.
So the primary data will be so high and there may not be any secondary data at all.
Exploratory data research is mostly conducted through primary data, you're right. There could be situations, depending on the research topic itself, if there is not availability of your primary data, if you don't have enough primary data, then you may have to rely on a little bit of secondary data. But in most instances, you need to undertake an exploratory research with primary data. Okay, Samina, go ahead.
স্যার অনেক সময় যেটা দেখা যায় যে আমরা যখন প্রাইমারি ডেটা কালেক্ট করতে যাই, যেমন সার্ভে করে, মানে পিপল টু পিপল সার্ভে করে, ইট ক্যান বি অনলাইন, ইট ক্যান বি অফলাইন। তো যেটা দেখা যায় যে কাস্টমাররা অরিজিনালি যেটা ফিল করতেছে ওই ফিডব্যাক দিতে চায় না, কিংবা অনেক সময় বিরক্ত হয়ে জাস্ট টিক চিহ্ন দিয়ে চলে যায়, কিংবা মানে অনেক সময় দেখা যায় যে যেটা করা হয় যে আমরা আমাদের ফ্রেন্ডদেরকে বলি, ওরা বলে যে কি অ্যান্সার দিতে হবে তো বল, আমি জাস্ট টিক মার্ক দিয়ে দিচ্ছি। তো স্যার এইগুলো তো মানে আপনার রিসার্চকে প্রভাবিত করবে ইন আ নেগেটিভ ওয়ে, রাইট?
Of course, it will influence your research in a negative way. And big brands, they can do certain things to control those. Like, it depends on how strong you develop your research mechanism is. If your research mechanism is as simple as that, like, you've got a piece of paper and you want consumers simply to tick, and you feel that they will give good feedback, this may not work. So it depends how well you design and what stages you design. So for instance, like in Uber, as we have seen, the Uber research, it's a way that right after finishing your ride, you're able to share your experience. And it's not only about they're filtering your experience at one point, but there will be various data points. Like, they're asking about the drivers, like, if you rank it 4, like, out of 5, you rank it 4. So it is driver behavior, or, it's the hygiene of the car. It was like, how they were, like, so many other factors, data points that they have. Any more questions, Samina?
No, sir. Not now.
Okay, so it's, yeah, all right, go ahead.
স্যার আমরা যখন নরমাল রিসার্চ করি তখন একটা প্রবলেম অ্যানালাইজ হওয়ার পরে আমরা একটা হাইপোথিসিস দাঁড় করাই। মানে হাইপোথিসিস যে আমার রিসার্চটা, মানে আমার প্রবলেমটা কোথায় হচ্ছে এবং এটা কেন হচ্ছে। আমরা এটা মানে মার্কেট রিসার্চ করার আগে বা ডেটা কালেক্ট করার আগে আমরা মানে একটা ব্যাক অফ দ্য মাইন্ডে একটা হাইপোথিসিস দাঁড় করে, যাতে করে আমাদের পুরো রিসার্চটা ওই দিকে ডাইভার্ট করতে পারি। সো মানে আমি পয়েন্টে, মানে এখানে ডিরেক্ট এক্সপ্লোরেটরি রিসার্চের দিকে চলে গেলাম বা প্রাইমারি ডেটার দিকে চলে গেলাম, বাট ওই যে হাইপোথিসিস মেনশন করাটা, ওটা এখানে ইয়ে করিনি, মানে পাইনি।
No, we're not talking about hypothesis here, because exploratory research is not hypothesis. So hypothesis is done when it comes to causal research. All right, the last one that we see, that is where we will have causal. That's called a causal research. All right, so in a causal research, generally the hypothesis is done, and it's a form of quantitative research. So exploratory research is purely qualitative research. Okay, in another way, to look at research is qualitative research and quantitative research. So qualitative research is purely driven by primary data, where we collect the data from the consumer, their fresh opinion and perspective. Descriptive research, a little bit of both. It could be a qualitative data and it could be a quantitative methodology or qualitative methodology as well. So normally directed by one or more formal research questions or hypothesis. So yes, there will be a little bit of hypothesis as well. So a hypothesis is your perspective or a researcher's assumption about a particular phenomena. If X happens, if we give X amount of input, we will get Y amount of input. This is your hypothesis that this might happen. And your research will then falsify your hypothesis that whether it was right or wrong. So hypothesis comes in mainly in causal research, which is a bit of experimental in design, in which researchers manipulate independent variables and then observe or measure the dependent variable or variable of interest. So causal research is mostly quantitative in nature. And in quantitative research, you will start with the hypothesis. So hypothesis it's purely, it's a researcher's pre-assumption about a particular situation that, let's say, give example, in winter, the hypothesis is in winter, the sales of certain product will decline. Tell me, what are the products where the sales will decline for certain products in Bangladesh when it comes to winter?
Air conditioners.
Sir, in winter season.
Yes.
Sir, basically that the sales has been declined in the ice cream.
Ice cream, air conditioner, cold drinks.
Air condition,
Air
ice cream, cold
conditioner.
drinks.
Yes, that's right.
Lotion.
Yes.
Cold drink.
So we can tell this is a hypothesis, right? This is like a hypothesis. So our hypothesis is, well, when it's winter, the sales of certain product will decline. And then once you have this hypothesis, then you need to conduct actual research. And then your data will tell that whether your hypothesis was right or wrong. All right. Not always you'll find that your hypothesis is right, or sometimes it could be even wrong. So depending on the hypothesis you're building, your research will then falsify that whether your hypothesis was right or wrong. So hypothesis is like the last type of research when you're doing a causal research. In descriptive research, as I mentioned, it's a bit of both, like exploratory and a bit of hypothesis as well. But the third one is purely quantitative, where you'll do hypothesis. So these are type of research design. Now, what I just mentioned, this is very brief way to look at research. Obviously, as a researcher myself, we have to do like research design. It's a vast domain, and there's lots of other things. There's epistemology, there's ontology, there's methodology. We're not going to that deep into that discussion here. I'm just giving a very simple overall perspective. Yes, Nuhash.
Sir, in descriptive research, when you say there will be one or more formal research, what do you mean by formal research? Will it be exploratory research?
Well, formal research, it's, as I mentioned, there are various types of research, right? There's various types, as you can see, that cross-sectional study, longitudinal research. These are some other types which we aren't even talking about. But in descriptive research is that you need to really do some solid data collection other than simply getting primary data from the consumers. And that's where you need to establish like a comprehensive research system, because exploratory research sometimes is considered vague because it is purely consumer opinion, and sometimes it could be simple, like you simply ask consumers that whether your experience about a particular product was good or bad, or what do you think? It's more of a মুখের কথা consumer what they think, but that may not exactly capture the essence. But in descriptive research, when you are getting into that, you need to go to a level up, and then you need to bring or collect data from many other different data points and engage some comprehensive research methods. For instance, there's one thing called cross-sectional study. So cross-sectional study is that you have different types of data, and then you pull up some data from the cross-section of different type of data. All right, maybe 5 different types of data that you have, and you collect some data. A longitudinal research is something that you conduct over a long period of time, maybe 3 years or 5 years. So a descriptive research is more comprehensive, where you need to engage some formal research. Exploratory research sometimes is considered a bit informal. Okay, so moving on. So,
sir.
Okay.
Sir,
go ahead.
If I collect data or something from newspaper, then we know that newspaper is secondary source of data. So in this case, if I use that newspaper data or newspaper issue or topic, in this case, it will be in exploratory research.
Look, it depends on the type of data that you're seeking. As I mentioned before, that if the phenomena or the topic for which you are doing the research, if there's no availability of primary data at all, then you definitely need to rely on your secondary data. Your secondary data will then tell you, what is that you are looking for. So it could even be an exploratory research as well with your secondary data, because you don't have any primary data available. So then it can very well work as well with your secondary data as well. Maybe you are doing some study on some foreign markets, right? Maybe some international markets. Now, you're not able to go to those international markets. You have to rely on some website information about international markets. So maybe your website data, you have to rely on that. And that will be your exploratory research as well. All right. Now let's talk about data types, as we are talking about different type of data. So primary and secondary, these are the 2 broad classification of data. All right. So primary data, as I mentioned, is a data that is captured directly from the respondents or the customers, in this case, when you're talking about marketing research. So data which is